and then I'll show you examples of our own members that achieved some distinctions. We didn't get all of them with us today because some members couldn't find their own distinctions, but we have some examples. And on the IPF website, you're not allowed to save the files. So as much as I tried to right-click and save, I couldn't.
Could you do it live from here?
I don't know if we have
Wi-Fi?
Yeah, you can hook up to
Yeah.
the Wi-Fi now.
Even the screenshots, we could have
I'm
maybe
pretty
done
sure
it.
with Wi-Fi here.
I do
Oh,
have,
yeah, I've used it. It's,
Yeah, I have password. Yeah.
but we have a few
Yes.
examples
obviously,
anyways.
if you want on the modem, you know.
We have 2 L's, we have
Yeah. 2 A's.
so 3 A's and
1 F.
1 failed F. We'll show you why it didn't work. So, if somebody is not familiar what distinctions are, it's one of the key services provided by the Irish Photographic Federation is the distinction services. Individual photographers present their work before the distinction judges, who assess whether the applicant should be awarded the relevant distinction applied for. There are 3 levels of distinctions: licensureship, associateship, and fellowship. For L, anyone can apply. For A, those who have L, and for F, those who have A. You cannot jump in front of another. Panels must be presented in a print form at the distinction sitting. There is online application form only. It used to be a written form and now it's only online. All the information, if anyone ever wants to read more information about distinctions, everything is on IPF website. There are usually about 6 to 8 judges at the distinction sitting, and they decide whether the panel will be successful or not. They all have red and green cards, and the people in the audience, they cannot see what they show. So if the panel is successful, if there's more green cards than for L, for example, the person in charge will say the person such a club was granted licensure. And if there will be more red, then it will be just said that the panel was unsuccessful. Nobody will know the name or the club, so everything is fine that way. You know, nobody gonna name if you failed. The L panel is the initial distinction level and recognized by licentiate, the Irish Photographic Federation, LAPF. Associateship is the next distinction level and recognized also by IPF, and fellowship as well. For L panel, I'm gonna go and show you a few things there. There's usually about 3 distinction sittings during the year: May, September, and November, I think.
Yeah.
It used to be like a lot of people could apply for it, but now you have to apply it in advance because they only have 40 places for L to apply. So if you didn't get into that 40 people, you have to wait for the next time. So the day won't be that long as it used to be. There's only a few for A could apply in one go, and unlimited amount of Fs because Fs are very rare. Okay. Okay. L panel is You can apply for L or A or F. Doesn't matter if you're a member of the camera club or not. It's just the difference in the price. If you're a member of the club, it's €40, and if you're not a member of any club, it's €80. But to start with L, you will need 10 prints that will show the photographer is competent in a variety of subject matter, general. Sometimes you can choose the subject. Basically you just need to show 10 images that they will be sitting together really nicely and will be balanced and cohesive. You just need to show your ability in photography, all the
Focusing, composition,
sharpness,
all
that stuff. Yeah.
Years ago, it tended to be more, the panels tended to be more mixed, they tended to be quite mixed, where people showed a variety of abilities. They could take landscapes, they could take portraits, they could do macro work, so they were actually showing a wide range of images. But in the last couple of years, there seems to be a trend that people will choose one theme, and rather than showing that they understand how to shoot different genres of photography, they can show that they're very competent in one area, and that seems to be just as acceptable nowadays.
Yeah, there's what the assessors will look for. They will look for your camera work, your technical quality, image quality, cohesion, composition and editing, imagination and creativity, the visual impact and the light on the subject. So you have to take all that in consideration when you build a panel. So we're not going to go as far as distinctions, but our little panels connected with this. So you have to take all that in consideration and put it together so it looks nicely together. There's a sample of L panels from our club. So Mary, feeling?
Yeah.
Would you like to say a few words about your
Yes.
panel?
I suppose in taking them, I took them over a period of time. I'm not sure, 2 years, 3 years, I'm not really sure. And I suppose anyone at the beginning stage, you do want to show that you can do things properly and you can produce something good. So I looked through my best at the time, and number one, because I had a go at it, it was a reflection in a mirror, and it was a little bit of a flower there, not very visible, but that was it. So I used that kind of strong image on the end, and then over time I took the alliums as they were coming out. I liked the way they were emerging from their shell, or whatever you call it, and so that would have been June. The poppy would have been June. But the tulips, naturally, they're a bit earlier. And it was all less, this is the variety, isn't it? This is being able to do different things and handle the camera and handle different aspects of what you want. But I tend to gravitate towards flowers, and I also love reflections. So when I look to put the panel together, I can't tell you what I had to choose it out of, but I didn't have many spares. They were really, so I was going at it very strongly, taking pictures that were really good and having criticism here in the club and with Martin. And the calla lily on the bottom row, well, that produced a lot of trouble for me because I had a good one, but it didn't quite seem to be okay, so I had to go and take it again. and then I used the paper that it came in. I had to go down to buy them. Didn't have them in the garden, but I used that as a background. And the man looking, the reflection on whatever number that is, 9, that was a spontaneous thing in a vintage or tractor run or one of these shows that happens every summer. So they were all taken over different times, but I kind of got out my best images and I tried to see would they make a panel. And the Chinese lanterns, yeah, they were a winter thing. So over a period of a couple of years probably, I managed to put those together. I don't know what to say really, because it's been quite some time now.
But I just want to explain, you see how the panel works together, the color-wise and
Yes.
the flow of the images and the way they're positioned,
Yes.
and even the third image, because it's a landscape. It can only be there. It will not work any other way.
No, it wouldn't be weighty enough for the bottom, would it?
No. So the whole panel has to balance each other. Every image has to balance another image.
To do it as well as possible, you know, as well as possible. It can always be, you know, you might say, well, I would have preferred 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth one to be a bit stronger, but I didn't have one, so. I mean, they liked it, they loved it.
What's the fifth one?
They're not very strict with
It's-
the L panels.
No, it's a reflection, it's a glass in a window, it's a piece of art, and then the buildings are just reflected in the window.
You allow a few mistakes, or if you can call them mistakes, for the L panels. The further you go, the harder it gets. So, if the panel is unsuccessful, then the judges will write comments. Each judge will write a comment why they thought it was unsuccessful. So you will have more understanding and try at the time. This is my panel. When I went for it, I had no clue about panels at all. So I just picked everything I had, went to Martin, and we had a chat.
God, it seems like so long.
So nearly 6 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, as you can see, I threw black and white and colors together, which wasn't really appropriate. You should not be doing that really, but because I didn't know any better at the time, I did that.
I know. I was looking at panels and I saw some mixed black and white and colour. Why not mix them?
It's risky.
I would say it's risky. Well,
Does that answer my question?
cohesion.
Okay.
Maybe cohesion. Because
But they're passive, those kind of. Obviously that pass, doesn't it?
Yes.
You're passive with,
Yes.
with an L panel, but you'd be less likely to pass it with an associateship or
Oh, yeah.
fellowship.
Yeah, well, with the L, you allowed a few mistakes, so that panel for them was strong enough to pass it.
yes, the images themselves carried it, didn't they, Natalia?
Yes.
I mean, they,
I remember someone commenting after that, that because I mixed black and white and color, you know, I was on the edge of not passing it.
yeah.
But it was someone else who went for distinction that day. It wasn't the judge's comment.
For a general panel, that's very much people orientated, isn't it?
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So, yeah.
So there you are, there you've got everything.
Yeah, but, well, see, because I'm interested in a portraiture,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to lie to myself. Like, I had other images, but what I like the most is this, and I put people.
Yes, lovely. So that's an example, yes. Go on, please.
That's
That's
L.
the last one, yeah.
When you go for A, yeah, that's 10 images for L. When you go for A, it has to be 15 images. And you have to write a text about your panel. The same, like the panel has to sit together well and balanced and cohesive, and and you have to remember that you can't just have great 15 images. They do have to sit together. Doesn't matter. Like you can have like amazing images, but if they don't sit together, you cannot have a panel. And the presentation mountain of print should be sympathetic with the subject matter, and the prints must be mounted. Uniform mounting of the panel helps with cohesion. There are no constraints on subject matter or theme, but 15 images should be cohesive and match the subject set out in the written statement. The written statement has to be maximum 150 words, as to outline what you intend to achieve with the images. The statement will be read to the accessing panel. The statement must be typed, and copies should be included with the application form and the print. So the A should be, you have to choose a theme for your A panel. So there's John Quixote's panel,
Oh.
the birds.
A panel, is it?
A.
Yeah.
Can you zoom that up a little bit just to
Zoom in.
just down at the bottom?
Okay.
If you're magnifying
Yeah.
that.
Is it too high?
Just
a little bit down.
You can drag it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's important if you're presenting a panel of boards not to have them so big in the pictures. That's, the thinking has changed a bit since I did that, and they want more of the environment, the background in the picture. That the board, as Martin described them here one time, is what little boards looking like ostriches. And
Yeah, I've heard them say that. They're looking for, that there's, it's out to one side, they want space,
yeah,
that they're
Yes.
looking into nothing, but not to crop it too tight.
not the crop time.
Yeah.
I find that too with insects. People are inclined to show off, look at the brilliant lens I have, you can actually see every little spot in the eye of the fly, but you don't see the rest of the insect,
Yeah.
Whereas I prefer them back where you can see the
Before that,
environment,
yeah.
where the actual insect is,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing as John is talking about.
Personally, I prefer them large in the picture because their beauty and their texture and their everything about them is so wonderful. Like, why not try and see as much as possible?
Yes.
Ah, sure, yeah.
And that's my opinion, but I wouldn't be the judge, of course. So you're selling something to the judge, so you do what the judge is expecting you to do.
That's right.
And for your L panel,
But
John, do you
yours
have
are not
birds
actually,
only?
yours are not,
I
most of
didn't,
them are not filling the image, there is a space around them,
I didn't send in the L panel, I don't know why I didn't. When
No.
I came here tonight,
Did you, when you went for your L, did you only had birds or
no,
you
I
had general?
had a multiple discipline, like landscape, birds, what do you call it, grey squirrel, and some buildings as well. That time they wanted just to have a very varied
Yeah.
Yes.
panel.
Yes, they
And
did.
there was some of my friends that had tried to help a little, and they had a what would you call it, a more specialist panel, and they didn't get it.
Mm.
And I felt worse than they did. That's the problem with trying to help someone if they don't get it. You feel that you're after influencing them.
Yes.
Is it a while ago since you did that, John?
Yeah, it is really. If you right click on it, you get to see when. Properties.
2011, 4 years ago almost.
I did the next one, the F. They said there was too much repetition in it, not enough of variety. That I needed flying birds and I needed birds feeding each other.
Yeah.
And also the birds were far too big in it.
Oh gosh.
And if you print A3, you're revealing more of your failings or any defects that are in the panel. So if you want to print big, half A3 plus would be as big, or maybe an A4 might be better for your own sake.
Because for F you have to do 20 images.
Yeah, 20 images, and it's quite difficult to get. You get 15, I've got 15 a number of times, and I never could get to the last 5. But to have the correct variety and everything in it. Before I started doing this, I saw many of the pictures I'd like to get, but I'd never found them since.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's also a new rule that you cannot use image from L or A or F. You cannot use the
Yeah.
same images in the panels.
Yeah.
They all have to be
Fresh.
new.
Yeah.
Where you used to be able to transfer 1 or 2 images from panel to panel, and now you can't do that anymore. So which is more tough.
And as you can see there, the panel is supposed to lead to the centre and to the top, isn't that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And you have to have the same print size and the same, possibly the same paper. It has to be cohesive.
Yes.
Yes.
And the color-wise as well. You know, you can't just throw different colors.
Yeah, you can't have a big red picture out on the right or left of it, or something
Yeah.
clashing, or
It's a huge amount of work then to get it.
It's
It
huge.
is.
it's not when you have it together, but to get it together is.
Yeah, to get it together.
If you could just happen to find the right 15, it's not a big job putting together,
Yeah.
but getting them is the problem. And the more opinions you get, the more difficult, and
Yeah.
the more confused you get.
It's funny the way, like, let's say you have images and you have them, you put a panel, and then you could switch couple around and like, oh, that's better, and then someone else comes in and switches
No.
those two.
Yeah.
Oh, that's even better.
Why did you put that one in first? That's ruining it. And if you ask 10 different people at
Yeah,
10
they're all
different
different
times,
opinions. Yeah.
you'd never
nearly
have a panel.
You nearly have to go with your own gut. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you have
In
to.
the end you do. In the end you do.
Yes.
About 6 to 8 judges.
Ah.
So there's less judges for F because not every judge can judge
Judge
F.
F.
Yes.
They have to go through certain course or something themselves to be able to judge.
The judge has to be at least at the stage, an L would be, an A would have to be an A for the judges.
Mm-hmm.
Would have to have an
That's
A
only
distinction to judges.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Vladimir's A panel. I remember we were there and it took judges a long time to decide whether to pass it or not. But it did pass.
Sometimes it can go on forever, and you literally see arguments going on, and you're trying to read body language, you're trying to overhear what's being said, and it can be nerve-wracking.
Yes, because they go so close to your prints and they take them in hands and they examine it, like, and it's so nerve-wracking. But yeah, you see the image on the bottom right, the 15th image. She's too far away compared to every other image.
Yes, yes, she is. I thought that.
You're allowed 1 week
Which you
picture
are allowed,
in,
yes.
in an A panel, you allow possibly two in a none in an F panel.
And of course, the text that you submit with your images have to match your images. If it has to be cohesive with your images. If it doesn't make any sense, then you might not pass, because sometimes text will help the panel to pass.
Yes, that's important, really.
Did Vladimir at the time realise or not that that was a weak image, or was it something he obviously felt was strong enough to go in, or was he struggling for the 15th image?
I think he knew that that could be a tricky one, but he went for it.
Was Natalia said what you say about it, you have to
Yeah.
introduce it and you have to explain exactly what you are trying to achieve.
You sell it to him then?
You have to sell it to them. I saw a panel one time, it was a wonderful sports panel, and the photographer had, in his presentation, he had talked about, you know, the most exciting moments in the game, that he was trying to capture the most exciting moments in the game, and he failed to get his distinction because some of the images were really, really strong images from play, but they weren't about the really exciting part of it. There was no excitement going on, they were just really good captures.
Yeah.
So he put in, he wrote, he talked himself out of it.
Yeah.
So you have to qualify every image that's there with your text. They actually take, you think it's just going to be about the pictures, but it's not. So if you've got, for example, if you've got, you know, there's different lighting here. You know, I can't even remember what Vladimir said at the time, but, you know, if he had said that he was trying to use, you know, photograph people using natural light or whatever, you know, it would have gone against him, instead of saying that he used a variety of different lighting techniques with his models. So it is really, really important what you say in your...
I think you
And
mentioned
your
about
legend.
variety of lights, I think so.
Yeah.
The beauty of different women, yes.
Because there's a big variety, there's studio, there's outside,
Yes, yeah.
it's a garden, you know, building.
Yeah, does the photographer actually speak, or is it from written text?
No,
Written
they read it.
It's right out.
It's right.
And it can actually, they can sometimes, some of the judges can ask to hear it again. That's how, you know, that's how seriously they take it.
Right.
Yeah.
So the photographer has to read it out?
No,
No.
No, the judges.
So
So
there's a
we don't
person who is, let's say he's standing there and the judge is sitting in front of him.
Ah.
That's
This
Clinton.
person only knows what the judges say because they show to him the cards,
All right.
and the same person will be reading the statement,
Statement.
and the same person will be telling if the panel was successful or not.
And in your statement, do you have to make reference to all of your pictures, or do you just have to indicate why they're cohesive, why you believe they are a cohesive group?
Just about the images in the panel in general.
Yeah.
You can't go one by one.
Oh, well, okay.
No.
Thanks.
But I think some people think of what they want to do, what they want to show. I think it's done once in Wildflowers, and they wanted to, say, show all the different types of wildflower in certain habitat. And then they went after that, and that was the statement, and that then was it. Other people, I suppose, have everything. They know what they like doing, and they know what aspect of the sport is what they want. And then they get it all, and then they do it. I think that happens a lot, but some people say a better way is to have an idea in your head and just go for it. And then when you've got it all together, you've got your statement.
Yeah.
Your statement could be as big as like 4 words. It could be one little line, if you think that's enough for it.
Yes.
But you cannot go more than 150 words.
Okay.
Some people are really good at writing stuff.
Yeah.
This was my panel. I knew that I wanted portraits, and I was working for it. And I actually had most of the images ready, but there's still a few spaces were missing. Or maybe they were filled, but then I decided not to have them in there. And I actually finished the panel with knowing exactly where I wanted the images. And I was doing them specifically for this panel.
Mm.
So I think, for example, the image 10,
Mm.
13, they were specifically done this way, so they balance each other.
Yes.
The number 1 actually was thrown in the last minute, because the one I had there, I wasn't happy with it. So childish.
See number 11, you use that in your L, I see.
Yes, because that was the time when you were allowed to.
You could do it.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah, when I was working upon it, I knew exactly where I wanted what, and I was working for it. So, like, for L, I just threw it in, and for this one, every single image was specifically shot and composed the way I wanted it for the panel.
The top right one is over.
Mm. Mm. And you can't really, on the screen here, when you see the frills, absolutely wonderful.
And I think it passed really quickly. I
Yeah.
wasn't there, but I've heard it was like very unanimous very
Yeah.
quickly.
With 10 and 13, Natalia, how
Yes.
did you get it? It's like they're cut out
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
just white background.
white background.
Yes.
Mm.
But you see, I couldn't have just one white. I had to have 2, so they will balance each other.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, it's very effective.
And the way you see the neck turned, and another one looks that way. So if it was the other way around, it wouldn't work.
It's very creative.
Mm.
So now we have one F to show. An F panel is basically it's 20 images, and they have to sit together, and all the rest as others. It has to be. You have to demonstrate distinguishability or style in a specialist area of photography, and you're given no room for mistakes with the F. And you have to write a text statement, the same, no more than 150 words, outlining what you intended to achieve with the images. So things to avoid, or reasons for failure, here they say on the website. Images not up to the required standard or not cohesive with the rest of the panel. Repetition, poor print quality, lack of sharpness, not exploring the subject as outlined in the written statement. And I will show you the panel that I went for F with, and I will explain why it was not accepted.
It's huge enough. Isn't
Yes.
You can see the big creative
Some
step
work.
up.
It's a major step up. Yeah.
So
it? Why did I fail it?
every single judge wrote it was not cohesive.
It was what?
Not
Not
cohesive.
cohesive.
The wind was blowing the wrong way that day.
And
Not cohesive.
also there was a woman, maybe a panel, 2 panels before me. She had women in her panel. Remember she was
Yeah.
here?
Kieran White's.
Lorraine did it.
Lorraine.
Yeah.
Oh, Lorraine.
Yeah.
She passed F just 2 panels before me.
Quite similar-ish.
Well, she has half nudity, so
Yeah.
but it's all women. And they said they've seen similar panel just a couple panels ago. But yeah, every single judge said it was not cohesive.
Did they explain why? Did they explain why? Or
Also, this said that this image and the first image,
Yes.
they were taken on the same day because of the same dress. That wasn't good for them. They said that these two images were too similar. And that, let's say, image like number 4, and maybe perhaps number 9 or number 19, not as strong as others. Even when you think that it's your work, you put so much time into it and everything into it, and then they say it's not cohesive.
It's quite
You
costly.
like cry for a week after.
It's quite costly to print them as well, because
Yeah.
you'd have scratched ones and things like that that you'd have to replace and reprint. I found it very expensive because I got it printed on a paper that I didn't like and had to reprint it. And then I discovered that it's very easy to scratch prints, and if there's any blemish whatsoever, they won't accept it.
And mountain as well.
Mount everything.
Like to put a panel probably like 300-400.
And if you went for it again, could you use some of those images again, or would you have to go get 20?
Yes, I can, because there's none of these images were in L or A. And because it's failed, I can't go.
You can use the same one?
Yes.
Do you agree with the judges now looking back, maybe not at the time, but can you see maybe that the two red dresses were the same?
She doesn't
Hard
agree.
question.
Yeah.
Did you go again?
Obviously,
I love it.
yeah, obviously you put it together, so you must have.
So, but right now I can see why they thought it was not cohesive.
Was there any comment on picture 12 or on frame 12 there? Because the person is smaller in it.
Yeah. But she hasn't
No,
balanced
but
up
you
over
see,
here.
I
Yeah.
had it balanced.
Yeah.
She had it balanced.
So much thought goes into this, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, she'd be cross-eyed by the time you'd be done with it.
Yeah.
Was 12 and 19 again shot on the same day, same location, or
No,
no?
totally different. But
Did they explain why it wasn't cohesive? Did they go through all that? No.
no, they didn't explain why it wasn't cohesive, but every single judge said it was not cohesive.
Well, they couldn't disagree with each other.
And I rang Michael O'Sullivan after that to see, explain what it means, because I just couldn't understand why they thought it was not cohesive. And I didn't understand the full, the word cohesive at the time. It's like I was saying, because I shot it, I did it, it's not like I asked somebody else to help me or to do, the photography part. But now I can see why, because I didn't do it fully for myself. A lot of the images I helped a friend
Yes.
to create his portfolio
Yes.
with his clothes.
Ah. And that, in a way,
So that
came
I
out.
was going to ask her where did you get all the gear, but I know now.
Yeah. So that came out.
So, but
Yes.
that
Oh.
portfolio got him into the very big college.
Yeah.
So
So what was your statement like?
you
Just
see,
roughly.
every single character was from sort of a fairy tale or a story.
Ah, okay.
I don't remember now exactly, but it was all towards that. That they all had some story
Something
behind.
with fashion as well.
Yes.
The fashion was the interpretation of the story.
Yes.
Yes. And some of it perhaps was closer than others.
Well,
Some
see,
of them were closer than
some of them
others.
are from like fairy tales and some are not.
Yes, that's right.
Like, as you remember,
Yes, I do.
it was J.K.O. She's
Yes.
not from fairy tale.
Yes, not from a fairy tale. Yes, that's why I was asking.
Little Red
Maybe
Riding
that was
Hood,
part
that's
of
the
your
only-
definition of cohesion then, the
So-
fact that
Slips in the cohesion,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
So think about that, guys, if you go
Yes.
for a panel.
Well, it's been a long time away from my life.
I'm sure maybe you haven't looked at it since, but have you any idea now what you would take out of it?
I probably will do different altogether.
Yeah.
Completely
You
different.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your style evolves anyway, so
It has,
that's
Natalia.
2013,
Yeah, it's true.
you know, so in 2 years,
Yeah.
Yes.
your style moves on.
Have you started already?
No.
Still getting over it?
Painful.
Strong.
Painful.
It is very
Oh, it
painful,
is
guys.
painful,
Seriously,
yes.
it is really painful.
The setup for all of those must have taken a very, very long time.
It's a lot of work.
Well, yeah, it's not a lot of work, so it just goes to show how.
But you still have to think about, you know, going back to the summer challenge.
Yes,
Mm.
yes, Natalia.
You know, it's not going to be as big work as
No.
this,
I know.
but
You still
You
have the
have to
elements
think-
to think about.
you have to think about
Yeah.
how to put those 6 images together. That the color-wise they will match the flow of the images, the shape of the subject in the image. You have to consider all that.
And is there a certain element that if they get so many panels, they're going to fail so many? Is there a percentage in it? Where they feel they won't pass every panel.
No, no.
They'll have to, even if they got excellent panels, they'll somehow have to fail 1 or 2 because would that be a factor?
Well, with L's it used to be about 50%. But now the last distinction sitting that was in Mullingar only like a month ago or something, the same time when the panels were, less than 50% passed.
Less than
Yeah,
50%?
I think there's only 17 panels passed L. Yeah, it was very small.
And
Number.
many years permit,
I think they can put 40 L's now.
no, how many years were passed that day?
Last time,
Yeah.
I think maybe 4.
Out
And
of?
I don't know. And 1 F.
Mm. But I think, Natalia, when you look at them, some of the entries, especially in L, bit weak.
Yeah, sometimes when you look through them and there could be such a big variety of images and
Yes, weak, too many
or
weak
you
ones.
see when
in
you
it.
see that this in the audience, you don't see them close up.
No.
So what we see is totally different what they see.
Yeah,
Because for us it could look amazing, but they see it like this close,
yeah.
and they could see all the flaws that we cannot see. And we will think, oh, why this didn't pass? Because it was amazing. But you know,
Mm. Some of the ones you can see why, and others you can't see why.
And then it's like all the competitions, you get 3 other judges that probably have different
Completely
opinion
different,
altogether.
End of the day, yeah.
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 Do they,
Depends
do
on
they
what
all
you-
have to be teamed now, Natalia? Both, you know, from
A
L
and
to A?
F, yes. L doesn't have to be.
No.
L doesn't have to
No.
be teamed.
It could be,
It could be, but doesn't
if you
have
like,
to.
yeah, but you have to put that in your statement.
All right.
And they reckon
Well,
that's
there's no
missing again.
statement for L.
No, there's no, oh, sorry, there's nothing, but you have to say that in the form.
Oh,
Or
yes.
that you
Pick a
fill in
special-
before.
specialty as
All right,
well.
as to whether it's...
Yes. Yeah.
And I didn't have that in my form because I didn't have a clue at the time.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't research enough.
Yeah, there's a lot of work in it, all right.
They do workshops now, the IPF.
There is
if you
a-
were thinking of putting in a panel.
There is
Go
a
to
workshop
workshop.
here. It's gonna be